1. Liftoff. Welcome all to the Black Column podcast. We are here for the last show of the year, though by the time you guys are hearing this, it is the first day of the year. I am one of your hosts, Jabaya, aka the Crew Philosopher.
And I'm Shannon, aka your favorite blurred.
Yes, we are here to bring you guys the news that we think Black people should be talking about. Right? Okay. Shannon, how do you feel knowing that this is the last show of the first show of the year?
I don't feel any different. I don't feel like this year is ending. I feel like it's just continuing on, honestly.
It is continuing the theme of 2020 where like after the lockdowns and stuff, it feels like time has been off. Like my sense of time has gone crazy.
Yeah. But I also just feel like Trump won't be in office anymore, only like a few more weeks. But I feel like all the crazy stuff that contributed to 2020, like those things haven't gone anywhere as of yet. So I just feel like we're still just, chugging on in the same problems we had.
Well, Trump hasn't really been that relevant in the news in general.
No, not even. Yeah, Trump. No, not in general since he lost. But I'm talking about like the coronavirus and stuff like that. Everything that made 2020 horrible is still happening right now. Like, yes, there's a vaccine, but the wide population will not be able to give. By
the way, Shannon gave me the greatest clip to use for the show promo.
Stop using clips where I mispronounce things or
oh my god, that was funny. I laughed so hard. It's been I think years since I laughed that hard at a video. I was doing the editing. I was like, oh my god. She can't say it.
The wide population will not be able to get vaccinated until later 2021. So still chugging on with the same problems.
Yeah. So nothing's really changed fundamentally. And because you can't do any New Year's-y things, it doesn't really feel like New Year's. So it's been a weird day for me. If not for the fact that I just redid my calendar in my room, I would have forgot that today was the last day of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But, here we are. So we are here to bring you guys another news show this week. And a lot of things to talk about. This has not been a slow news week. Things have been picking up fast. Unfortunately, some things that I like, some things that I don't like. And me and Shannon are going to start with the new strain of coronavirus. Just as soon as we get a vaccine, Shannon, we have a new COVID strain that is going through the UK. It has made its way into China. It is now here in America. And I think Colorado and California, I believe, but definitely Colorado. And a lot of questions around the new strain. Is the new strain more transmissible? If it is more transmissible, by how much? Is it more deadly than it needs to be? Does this mean that the vaccine will continue to work? All of these questions are coming up, and we are here to provide you guys with some answers. Now,
from what I understood, it's not more deadly. It's just more contagious. Like it's easier to catch it, right?
Very good, Shannon. Mm-hmm. It is not. So we have some facts here from the Johns Hopkins, which I think Johns Hopkins is pretty reliable, I think, with the information.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They don't really get into like the fear porn with coronavirus, but they definitely are straight shooters. And just for some clarification, viruses mutate from time to time. Every time a virus, for example, if I had coronavirus and I gave my coronavirus to Shannon, and Shannon gave it to somebody else, and then 10, 20 people down the line.
Yes.
Each time it's transmuted, there's like a super small change that takes place in the virus.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, as it goes through thousands and millions of people, it changes enough where there's a noticeable change in the virus. And that's how you get different strains.
Yep.
So sorry, Shannon, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it happens all the time when viruses run rampant. It's normal.
Yeah, it happens with viruses like coronavirus. It happens with the flu. That's why we get a flu shot each year, because the flu that goes around, the seasonal flu that goes around each year is slightly different than the one that went around the year before. And then every now and then you have a big jump in the flu where it's totally different, like Zika, swine, etc. The HIV. That happened with HIV as it mutated into AIDS. And even with other STDs, gonorrhea, I know you, Shannon, you read stories about super gonorrhea, right? Well, we have strains of gonorrhea now where what's used to treat gonorrhea?
I don't know, antibiotics, I think.
Yeah, whatever the medicine is, it's no longer working
Yeah.
because these new mutations have become used to the medicine, and so now we have to create even stronger medicine to use on the super gonorrhea. And so this is a regular pattern with viruses. So just to calm people's nerves, viruses always change, and they will always change. That's not unusual. What
Yep.
you what, so go ahead, Shannon.
No, I was gonna say, don't let the news scare you. This is like totally normal for anything.
Yeah,
I mean, you should be scared a little bit because it is easier to catch now. So that means that things that you felt maybe comfortable doing, you should think twice about if this new strain is running around just because you don't really know like how safe you are doing the normal things that you would do normally to protect yourself from COVID. So just saying, be a little more cautious.
I don't know if I agree that you should be a little bit scared. I think you should be cautious.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Be cautious.
Right? Yeah. Fear, in my opinion, doesn't lead to anything good. Fear makes you make irrational decisions. And I don't think you should ever throw logic to the wind. I think caution is more of the word that I would use. Though when it comes to the transmission rate, that hasn't been settled yet. Right. So even in the John Hopkins article, hold on. Was there a point I was making before that?
I think so. I think you were going to read something from the article, but then you didn't.
Oh, you might be right. So just to read you, here, in this new COVID strain, this John Hopkins article says there are about 23 genetic changes in the strain. There's some preliminary suggestion that it's more contagious, and although that's not proven, scientists are noticing a surge of cases in areas where the new strain is appearing, and there could be a connection. Now I remember what I was going to say. When you brought up, don't let the news scare you. I still don't understand how we can be this many months into the coronavirus time period, and the news is still being so irresponsible in the way that they cover the news. Because once again, they don't tell you anything where you can learn and make rational decisions. They're just scaring people, just freaking people out.
Yep.
They should be, like you just did, making a point to say, hey, there's a new strain. Early data suggests that it's more contagious, but not more lethal. That should be attached to anytime someone says new COVID strain, but it's not. I mean,
that's probably in the articles, but again, the news is in the business. Sorry, I don't want to completely bash the news industry because I used to work in news. So
whole friend of me.
Not as I wasn't producing the news. I was just making sure it looked good on TV. Anyway, so they put it in the article, but the news, they're all in the business of making, the clickbait. They got to get the clicks. So of course they're not going to put that in there. They're going to put the scary part so that you'll click on it and then you can get all the information some of the time. But that's just how they are.
Yeah, but they're not helping. And so I'm glad we kind of bring some logic to this. So back to the article. The reason why this strain might be, an emphasis on might, this is early data. Early data is often wrong or over exaggerates or under reports certain things. So early data suggests that it could be more contagious. And the reason why is because the new strain, it mutated so that the spike protein, which is on the outside of SARS-CoV-2, it's mutated where it has a more, quote, spiny appearance. And so basically the way you get COVID-19 is COVID goes into your system and the outer shell, the spiky cell, connects to the kind of your body's receptors. What they are theorizing is that maybe when it mutated and the spine change and the spike changed to this new appearance, it might be more sticky, meaning that it sticks easier to our body readers than the previous COVID-19 strain does. Thus, more people get infected because you can be exposed to COVID-19 and you can be exposed to the coronavirus and not get COVID-19. People think simple exposure means you're gonna get sick. That's not true. Only a certain percentage of people actually get sick when they come into contact with the virus. And so basically this article goes on to state what Shannon said, that so far the good news is the virus does not seem to be more dangerous, though it seems to spread easier from person to person. And that is once again common. Generally speaking, most of the time, viruses mutate to be less lethal to human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because viruses want to spread. And so if a virus is too deadly, like Ebola or something, it can't spread to another human being because it kills us too fast.
Mm-hmm.
So coronavirus wants to spread to as many people as possible. And so it would make sense that as it mutates, it would mutate into a version of itself that is more contagious but less deadly so that it can spread to more humans.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. John Hopkins also says that though, because another question that they had is the new COVID strain affecting children more frequently than earlier strains? And basically, there's no data that shows that kids are more affected by this strain than the previous strain, which once again, great news.
Yes.
Will there be other new strains of the coronavirus? There's the obvious duh.
For many years to come, always, for the rest of time.
Yes.
As there already has been strains of coronavirus before this.
Bingo. Shannon is dead on both of those points. Are there new additional precautions that we should be taking against this new COVID strain? No, because the primary function of the virus is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so socially distance, wear your mask, wash your hands, stay away from anyone who's sick. If you feel sick, stay home. Everything that you've been told to do for the last 3 months, continue to do it for the next 3 months.
You said for the last 3 months? You mean the last 8 months? 10?
No, because a lot of that early information was wrong. Remember, they were telling us not to wear. They told us not to wear a mask. They told us a bunch of stuff that was not true. So the last 3 months, I think, it's been more sound advice based off of the data, and so that's what you should continue to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now the vaccines. Will the COVID-19 vaccine still work with the new strain?
Yes.
Based on this article, there is no evidence at this point that immune response driven by current vaccines will not work against this strain.
Which I don't understand really how that's true. But I mean, not that is true. I just find it weird. I'm not a scientist, so I don't understand science. But if they have to make a flu vaccine every year for new strains of the vaccine, for new strains of the virus, of the flu virus, then I don't really get how this one vaccine will then cover a mutated strain. But again, I'm not a scientist. So somebody out there, tell me if you are. Explain that to me. John Hopkins, do they have the answer to that?
So basically, all it says here is there's no evidence at this point that the immune response is driven by current vaccines will not work against the new strain. We deal with mutations every year for flu virus, and we'll keep an eye on this one and track it. If there would ever be a major mutation, the vaccine development process accommodates changes if necessary. But we're not at the point when we need to consider that, he explains. Okay. The antibodies created by the current vaccine should still work. Now, there's some very interesting language in here.
Should.
No evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Should.
Mm-hmm. Right? Should. So, not will. Should.
Yeah. This is a very, carefully worded response.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's early. They don't actually know. In fact, we don't even know how much this current vaccine will work on the old coronavirus. We know that it keeps you from getting sick, but Shannon, they still don't know if it keeps you from spreading the virus. Number one,
that's true,
which is a big deal because if you still spread the virus, then technically getting vaccinated.
But I don't know how they don't know that yet. Because what do they do in these trials? Do they not test that? Do they not study that?
So based on what I read in the trials, they were just measuring. Does it prevent you from getting sick? Now, this makes sense because I imagine what they were trying to do in the short amount of time that they had was to keep as many people from getting seriously ill as possible.
Yes.
Right? Because if, for example, let's say if you give people the vaccine, they can still spread it, but they don't get seriously ill. Mm. And you can get everyone, especially the people who are most likely to be seriously ill, if you could get them the vaccine, what you do is you kind of save your hospital system moving forward. Mm-hmm. Right? And so it makes sense that the first vaccine that they make would target that. That said, I'm with you. It is extremely important for us to know whether or not this keeps you from spreading the virus. Because if it doesn't, then from a governmental scenario, you can't really change much, right? You still can't have people visiting senior citizen homes or grandparents because they can still spread the virus. In fact, it could backfire because they're so confident that they don't have anything because they have the vaccine. Meanwhile, they're spreading this. Though that's probably why they're giving the vaccine to the vulnerable populations, like elderly people, nursing home people, so that if it doesn't protect you from spreading it, the people who are most susceptible to dying have already been vaccinated. But I'm with you. We should kind of know that. It seems important.
Yeah. I would assume that, I mean, it is also important to see if the vaccine will prevent you from getting sick, but I feel like that's also very important. Like, what? Like, you have people that are already vaccinated. I mean, they're still taking like proper precautions, but you definitely need to figure this out before you start vaccinating the population.
Yo,
the wider population.
Every time she had to talk, I'd be like,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, everything you said, totally correct. Now, I do have a sneaky suspicion that we have to begin to shift the conversation, Shannon, to what is the long-term solution, right? Now, like you said earlier, Shannon, viruses change all the time. Viruses mutate all the time. What is the long-term solution to fighting through this thing? We can't continue to do what we're doing now indefinitely, where people are isolated at home, where people aren't working. They aren't. Remove work because people on the left will say, okay, well, this is why we should be sending out $2,000 checks a month and various things, and I might agree with all of that, but it doesn't solve the fact that human beings need to live. We need to be around other people. We need to see other people. We need to date. Those things are important for the human spirit, for the human psyche, human connection, touch. We need that. And so I don't think there is enough conversation being had about when can we get to that point.
Yes. And I don't honestly think that the government is viewing that as a priority.
They should
not be, but I don't think they're not. No, they're not. Not at all.
I remember somewhere on Twitter, Shannon, where somebody tweeted something where I think it was her birthday, and she tweeted one thing that she knows now that she didn't when she was a child. It was name one thing you would tell your younger self that you know now. And she said she would tell her younger self that one thing that is untrue is people in positions of authority know more than you do. I think that is perfect for this time period right now. We assume that these people, because they're in office, because some of them have college degrees, we assume that these people know more than we do. But most of them don't.
No.
They don't know anything. And the fact that no one is asking the question, okay, well, how do we kind of get back to normal? It's pretty important. You can't just keep people locked up forever. What is going to happen is people are going to backlash. And then you'll have you have in California, where California is having these major lockdowns, but they're having like record cases of coronavirus. It's because people are tired of being locked down, and now they're going to their friends' houses, or they're throwing private parties, and they're doing all these things around the rules because you never thought to add to your calculation, hey, we should take into account that generally speaking, people have a certain amount of patience for these things, and then it wanes, and then people are like, forget it. Let me risk catching this thing. I had me a little risky situation where I had a girl text me at it was like, it's after midnight, I know for a fact. Saying to you, inquiring if I could come over. I had a strong decision to make, Shannon. I was like, boy, that sounds tempting. I haven't touched a woman who I'm not related to in maybe 8 months. When did this thing end? March?
Yeah. March.
It's been like 8 months since I've touch the woman who I was not related to. And so the thought was extremely appealing. And I was like, no. No. But it was a hard no. It was a hard no. Now, what if she asked me that in like May? And, you know, by May, you know, the vaccine rollout, by the way, has been horrible.
Yes.
Remember me and you said that we're going to fuck this up like we do everything else? I think we said that on this podcast. It has been as bad as we predicted it would be. Like, first of all, it was a low number of vaccines projected, you know, to get out there to the people anyway, and we still are lower than that. Like we're moving slow. Yep. And so, I mean,
people are getting vaccinated first that don't need to be vaccinated. Like, why are Congress members getting vaccinated?
I disagree with you.
Why?
Because you don't want a Congress. The worst thing that we can have, and we avoided this, thank God, would be for this virus to kind of go through Congress. Then you have.
I mean, I guess that's true.
Yeah,
I guess that's true.
That would have been a nightmare. So Congress people should be vaccinated first because they're the people that we need to make decisions on things. So you don't want a scenario where, like, imagine if like some judges got this thing, some Supreme Court judges, early in this thing, right? Yeah. See what I'm saying? So you do want them to be vaccinated first. I'm with you. That said, every other rich person out there, nah, you got to wait like everybody else. Matter of fact, you should be on the bottom of the list because you have the resources to just stay away from people. It should be healthcare workers, nursing home, then the general public, old people, and then we go down from there.
Yep, I agree.
So, that's what we have to say there. So, like I said, don't panic about the new strain. Yes, it's serious. It's very serious. Like Shannon said, you should be alert. You should be taking it serious. But don't be driven by your fear and just drive yourself crazy. These things are going to happen. They happen all the time. You just never pay attention to it. The flu has been changing and mutating all the time. You just never notice because it never led the news. So just, you know, relax. And so I guess we can shift our conversation, Shannon. In response to coronavirus, we had Congress voting on a new COVID relief bill.
Oh God, that stupid COVID relief bill is getting me upset and confused. Which I'm pretty sure I'm not confused anymore. But like I'm pretty sure we were confused because first it was $600, then Trump called for $2,000, and then they went back to vote on it, and now we're back to $600, and now they're trying to push it back to $2,000. But you know what? It's not happening because there is Satan is speaking for the Senate.
Oh, she's gonna talk about Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell is literally Satan. He literally does not care about the American people at all.
Here's what I will say.
Can't convince me otherwise.
Here's what I will say to you, Shannon. This was a very, very, like, I don't understand why people are not more upset with Congress in general. Right now, some people deserve more shit, like Mitch McConnell. Absolutely. But I don't understand why we should be so angry.
Yeah.
At all of them, House and Senate, all of them, because the way this has played out has been absolutely disastrous. Number one, to Shannon's point, the news coverage has been so confusing because the actual rollout was confusing. And so, like Shannon, at first I was like, wait, what's going on? We have the $600 proposal, and then it passes the House and the Senate, and then Trump said he wasn't signing it until it was $2,000. So then the Democrats said, okay, well, we'll go ahead and make it $2,000. Then they said that Mitch McConnell wasn't bringing it to a vote, but then there was some stories being released that said that he was going to bring it to a vote, but he was attaching it to two other things the president cared about, the Section 230 and creating an election review board. And so I was like, okay, this is super hard to follow. And if it's hard for me to follow, not to be arrogant, I know it's probably hard for people who aren't really paying attention to this stuff on a day-to-day basis to follow in general. So let's just take it from the beginning of the process. Congress voted on, I think it was a $900 trillion bill?
No, it wasn't trillion. It was billion.
$900 billion COVID relief package, right? Which it's not a lot of money. It sounds like a lot, but you have to remember, this relief has to relieve the suffering of around 200 to 300 million Americans. So it's not a lot of money. The checks were $600 checks, $300 unemployment for I think 11 weeks, and various other shit that had nothing to do with the coronavirus, and weird stuff too, like making it illegal to share like streaming
yeah.
password.
I saw that, which is dumb. Like, what? Like, this is what you guys are choosing. This is what you're choosing to include in the bill instead of like extending student loans, like student loan deferment again. Like, this is what you're choosing to put in there. Because I was mad about that. I was mad that the student loans were not included in this bill.
And by the way, she was mad because Shannon has hella student loans.
I do. I do.
I get it. And so that was a weird thing to attach, but it just as a teaching lesson for most people, one of the things that the mainstream media does not do a good job of is kind of explaining that this is kind of how bills go. And so oftentimes it'll be reported that Democrats rejected this or Republicans rejected this, but they don't tell you that so for example, there's like a you know how we go to a concert, just like the headliner, and then there's like a bunch of acts that are under the headliner that perform as well. And so usually for bills, there's a headliner. In this case, it's the $600 relief checks and the $300 unemployment. But then underneath that, are you still there, Shannon?
Yeah. You froze.
I can see you again. You scared me. So there was the
okay, cool.
So there's the $600 checks, the $300 unemployment. That's the main act. But then underneath that is all this other random stuff that's in there, including bailouts for certain companies, special interest groups. And one of those things were making it illegal to stream. I think that was like a Republican bill that was introduced, which probably was mandated by some streaming company that wanted to make that illegal. There was also like they sent foreign aid to countries that weren't even American. And this is the stuff that gets kicked back and forth as the American people starve. COVID anything should have been treated as standalone bills. Point blank period. The checks and unemployment and possibly money to like states and cities for COVID related issues. That should have been totally separate from anything else. We should not be playing regular, ordinary Shannon.
What?
Tap your microphone. Wow, that's incredible. You dropped your mic. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, really? It didn't fall. It didn't fall on the floor. It just like felt like the stand was like loose.
Oh, that's incredible. I was like, that's okay. But yeah,
okay. That
should have been separate. And so using coronavirus to play the typical, political games, and I hate the typical political games, even when we're not in the middle of a COVID crisis. But the fact that we are in a COVID crisis, that you don't see, okay, well, maybe for the first time in our effing lives, we should put aside the usual political stuff to actually send relief to people who we are making it impossible for them to make money. Once again, the coronavirus is an issue.
Yes.
But the reason why people cannot make a living has to do with you, Congress, you governors. I don't have a job, not because people wouldn't go to the movies. I don't have a job because you have said that it is illegal for me to open my place of business.
Yep.
And so if you do that, you absolutely have an obligation to pay me what I would have made if I was working there.
Yep.
That is a simple concept. I don't even understand how we got into a left-right divide on this at all, but we did. Well, let me take that back. I know why, right? Because everything is a left-right divide. All of these politicians, but especially these goddamn Republicans.
Thank you.
Who just use anything to weasel their way to getting a little bit more power. Yep. And I think it is disgusting. Now you have someone I want to write as well. Like Nancy Pelosi seems, sketchy, but it's infuriating. But so we had that bill that passed, and for those of you should be expecting your checks and your unemployment starting next week. Boom.
And yeah, Nancy Pelosi seems sketchy, but at least the Democrats are not saints either, but at least they have oh my God, what is wrong with me? At least they have been trying to push for higher numbers of money for Americans this whole time. But the stupid Republicans in their holier than thou, whatever attitude they have been shooting down everything. So,
you know what it is? Two things. The reason why Shannon is more self-conscious this week by talking is because, by the way, if you didn't listen to the podcast last week, go on my Instagram. It was beautiful. Like she was like. So that's why Shannon right now, whenever she misspeaks, she's like, but also the reason why Democrats have been better at this than Republicans, I think. Number one, Democrats, generally speaking, it is in their best interest to give checks to Americans. Like, just point blank, period. If you're like the super left wing people like AOC and them, they want to transform the way American society works in general. So starting out with increasing these checks and getting people used to getting money from the government, that works in their self-interest. So I don't believe that Democrats are morally superior to Republicans. I just believe that this tragedy works for some of their self-interest already. And
yeah, morals though, but at least they're trying to get the bills passed, whatever, regardless of the fact of why they're doing it. But still, it's more than I can say for the Republicans.
No, but see, and this is what me and you disagree. For me, the reason why you're doing it matters because it helps explain a couple of things. For example, the Republican offer, before this current bill that was passed, was higher in payments to the American people than this was. Nancy Pelosi didn't want to sign it because she didn't want to sign anything that could potentially help Donald Trump win re-election.
True. Okay.
And so that's why intentions matter, because once again, it was her and her side playing politics while we were suffering for their own political gain. And I think that the fact that that's a feature of the system is a problem. It's because as we move forward, we're going to find ourselves in similar situations, and we can't have people playing politics while the average American is out there, losing all their savings, running their credit score in the tank because they're just borrowing money. But these politicians are playing political warfare because none of this affects them.
Yep.
It doesn't. AOC out there selling custom t-shirts and sweaters and stuff. I'm not hating. I'm just saying she's not suffering. Pelosi's not suffering. Mitch McConnell damn sure ain't suffering. These Republicans ain't suffering. And so I think that disconnect needs to be discussed more. But then, Donald Trump says he wants the checks to be $2,000. Now, once again, do I think Trump cares about the American people? No. He is living in his own delusion that he can still win this election somehow. And so he wanted the checks to go up to $2,000 because, remember, the original checks, he had his name on it. That was a requirement that it said Donald J. Trump at the bottom of the check. And so he wanted $2,000 checks to be sent out with Donald J. Trump on the bottom of the check. So that for his own ego and and so that he can, in his mind, win re-election or whatever crazy thing Donald Trump was doing. So once again, now, in that case, it was going to benefit the average American, but it was being done for his own personal reasons.
Yep.
So then once Donald Trump says that he didn't say it. Once he hinted that, hey, this is nonsense and this bill is filled with stuff. Now, he blamed the Democrats, but whatever. He said that the Democrats, they added all of this extra stuff to this bill that has nothing to do with the American people, which they did. That streaming thing was the Republicans' idea. But there was another part of that bill where it sent foreign aid to was it Afghanistan? So it was some Middle Eastern country for like some left-wing reason. I'm like, can we fix America, please? So Trump wants to raise it to 2,000. Nancy Pelosi says, all right, then let's raise it to $2,000 as a standalone bill, right? McConnell is like, nah, ain't gonna happen. Passes the House. McConnell won't bring it to a vote. And I think this is a time for education. You tell me if I'm wrong or right about this. I believe that the Senate Majority Leader is the one that brings bills to a vote in the Senate, right?
I believe so, but I could also be wrong.
I'm almost 80%, 90% sure that that's the case. that the Senate Majority Leader. Let me Google that real quick. I don't want to be wrong.
I was doing that right now.
Okay, go ahead, Shannon. So while Shannon Googles it, I'm pretty sure that the Senate Majority Leader is the individual who brings bills that pass in the House to a vote in the Senate, because they can refuse to just not hold the vote. And I think that's what Mitch McConnell did. He just prevented the Senate from even voting on the issue. And then I think a day later,
yes, that is true.
It is true. Okay, it's boom. Yeah, so the Senate Majority Leader is the one who takes the bills that are passed in the House and decides if they're going to be taken up in the Senate at all. I didn't know that.
I feel like that's not a fair power to have, to be quite honest.
It's an insane power.
No. Yeah.
But once again, I did not know that was a thing. I thought if something passed the House, it just went to the Senate. I don't know if something passed the House, then the Senate Majority Leader decides if you even get a chance to vote. If you even get a chance to vote on it, that's crazy. But it makes sense, because then who decides what gets voted on? It's probably like hundreds of bills that get discussed and passed every year. So it makes sense that you would kind of have to decide what is worth voting on or what gets voted on first. So point taken. But either way,
what a terrible person to be in charge of bringing bills to the Senate. Some worst person you could have doing that.
I don't know how Mitch McConnell keeps winning re-election.
I don't know either. Like, I don't know who's voting for him. Like,
some people that keep making like office, I'm actually stunned. Like,
it's probably his, because I believe that Mitch McConnell is Satan reincarnate on Earth. So it's probably his
powers.
It's probably his
demon powers.
The minions that have, that serve Satan in hell, they're probably on Earth as well, voting for him.
Okay, so let's assume that he's not the devil. Let's assume that he's not the devil. Because no, seriously, I try to sit back and imagine, okay, why are people voting for this person's re-election, right? I always try to take my feelings out of it and put myself in the position of his constituents, right? So what about Kentuckians do they see in Mitch McConnell where they say
Kentucky's a red state, right?
Yeah.
Was McConnell the only Republican running?
That's a good point. I don't know. I have no idea.
Wasn't that then that right there answers that question?
No, it doesn't, because then the next question is, how does he keep running unopposed?
Oh, I don't know. That's also good. Oh, well, that answers. Right. But the first part is answered. The second part.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, because here's my point is, if Mitch McConnell's out here doing all of this crazy shit for years, if there was a certain amount of dissatisfaction with his job performance, someone would run against him.
No. I'm not talking about somebody running against him. I'm talking about why the people of Kentucky vote for him. I don't know why he's been.
I think we're saying the same thing, just differently. You're saying that.
No, you're saying why he's never run unopposed.
No. I'm saying I don't understand why the people of Kentucky are voting for Mitch McConnell.
Gotcha.
You said, okay, well, maybe he ran unopposed. My point is, though, if he's doing such a poor job, which if I was a Kentuckian, I would think he's doing a poor job, he would not run unopposed. Somebody would have ran against him. Somebody. So it means if he did run unopposed, Shannon, a certain number of people find the job he is doing to be satisfactory. I am stunned at whoever they are, and they're like a handful of people in the government, right? Whether they be the Senate or the House, who I'm stunned at that people keep voting for them. That's my guy for the right. For the left, for me, the person I'm stunned that keeps winning re-election, Maxine Waters. I don't know why Maxine Waters keeps winning elections. And in her case, I think it's because she's running unopposed. But if she is, how can a certain number of people who live in her district believe that she's doing a fantastic job? I don't understand. I really don't. This to me is the greatest amount of evidence that politics is, to a certain extent, mind control. Right? Well, you can just, like, even today, Mitch McConnell was speaking, and he said that he's not going to vote for he's not going to bring the 2000 stimulus stuff to a vote because it's socialism for the rich. What does that even mean?
I don't know. He's just saying stuff just to say it. Listen.
But people believe it.
I don't know who believes it. I don't know.
He keep winning re-election. Somebody believes it.
There must be something's in the water maybe in Kentucky. I don't know why they keep voting for him. Something. I feel like their minds are being poisoned by Satan. I'm telling you, he is Satan.
He
It's
might
true.
be.
What is the other? What is the only? There is no other explanation why he's winning.
I don't get it.
And first of all, I feel like hold on. Let me just look something up real quick before I say.
Oh, okay. Shannon's about to fact check before she go in. I can't wait to hear this.
First of all, also, why is it okay for any senator, not just him, to be in power? Because McConnell has been in the Senate since 1984. So how long is that?
That is over 30 years and change.
I feel like why? Why is that allowed to happen? Like, why is it that the president can only serve 4 terms? 4 terms. Why is that the president can only serve 2 terms?
The Shannon blooper reel for this episode is going to be phenomenal. Go ahead, Shannon.
Why is it that the president can only serve 2 terms? Why is it that the mayor can only serve? How many terms can a mayor serve?
It's supposed to be 2 until Mike
now
Bloomberg.
It's 4, right? Or 3?
Nah, I think it's still 2. It just Mike Bloomberg pulled some shit out the hat.
Oh, okay. That was just a special, right? That was a special case for him. Anyway, but why is it that everyone else is limited to the amount of years they can be in office, but somebody can be in the Senate since 1984?
So you are pro term limits?
Yes, I am.
I'm mixed because once again, just to answer your question, term limits was not always a thing for the presidency, right? The Constitution did not say that you can only be president twice. That came later when, who was it, FDR? Somebody won re-election like, let me look this up. Hold on. Who introduced presidential term limits? Roosevelt. He was the first and the only president to serve more than 2 terms. The amendment was passed by Congress in 1947 and was ratified by the states on February 27th, 1951. And that's when you can only serve 2 terms because Roosevelt, and that was another instance in where Republicans added term limits because Roosevelt was winning term limits and there was no clear sign that he was going to lose. He was that popular, Roosevelt. He was a very popular president. And so they introduced term limits. This is where I say I don't know if I'm pro term limits because Roosevelt was able to accomplish many of the things he accomplished in part because there was no expectations of this can end. And so how many times do you hear about how presidents, the second term, if you don't get the House or the Senate, it's kind of like a lame duck session. And so for like the next 4 years, the president just sits on their ass because they know that after this term, they're done. Imagine how different things would be if you could be president again indefinitely. I'm just saying.
I know, but that doesn't sit with me. I don't really agree with that. I don't think that you should be able to serve for that many years. Like, there's no reason that.
Hold on. Even if you keep winning?
Yeah, because that's how you get people like McConnell in office, because God knows why, but he's been serving in Senate for how many years because no one told him that he couldn't run anymore. And I just feel like there needs to be some kind of.
But I think you're making a mistake in assuming that anyone who the person after McConnell will be any better or worse.
Yeah, I know. But I'm not saying that they will be. But I'm saying if somebody comes and beats McConnell and they are worse than him, then they could also just keep serving and serving and serving if they just keep getting reelected. It just puts us in a cycle that no one wants to be in.
I don't know. Term limits are a weird thing for me because on the one hand, I think you should run until you lose. Right? If I'm doing the job the right way in 80% of the country, in the case of Roosevelt, 70% or 80% of the country loves the job that you're doing. And they're going to keep.
So what about, I mean, this sounds wrong too. But this is just my own personal thoughts running wild. So what if there are no term limits, but you're subject to being up for reelection? You're subject to being up to reelection pending your approval rating. So your approval rating has to be above a certain limit or in order for you to run again. But then there's no limit. If it is above a certain rating, then you can run however many times you want to. How does that?
The problem with that is who determines what the approval rating is because
the people.
No, but I'm saying that the approval rating is a number that you get from what polling.
Yeah.
I've never been polled.
That's true. I don't know where that come from.
So I'm saying,
But I'm just saying, but if they fix that system, like it's not a perfect system right now, but I'm just saying it is something that exists. But if you found a way to make it so that it's a thing that actually works, I feel like that could be a thing, maybe.
So why are you comfortable with that, but not comfortable with just running, like having them run? Because to me, to a certain extent, a vote is my
That's
cast
true.
of approval.
That's true.
And so, like I said, it's two sides. That's why I'm for no term limits. But then the reason why so that's why I might be in favor of getting rid of term limits. But the reason why a part of me supports term limits is because I think it makes it very hard to get new blood into Congress, because something does happen where if you win, like for a certain amount of times, it just gets incredibly hard for a challenger to have a chance in beating you, because the person who has the office or who had it for the last 10, 15 years, they have the name recognition. They have many relationships that they've made with people who are in the news or different departments.
Yeah, it kind of makes it unfair.
Yeah, and so I'm split. I have no idea, but Mitch McConnell not bringing us to a vote once again is criminal, in my opinion. Not in the literal definition of the word criminal, but I think it is egregious on the highest level that he's not bringing us to a vote. I'm with the Democrats on this, that raising the payments to from 600 to 2,000, I think should be a standalone bill. But what Mitch McConnell is doing, he is trying to attach it to other demands. And so, for example, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blocked an attempt by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to unanimously approve a House-passed bill to increase direct payments in the coronavirus relief package. McConnell later introduced a bill that would boost the size of the checks, but also repeal Section 230 legal liability protections for internet platforms and create a commission to study election issues. And of course, the Democrats are very apprehensive about doing that. Though there is bipartisan support to repeal 230, I don't think they will want to help the Republicans do anything. And they damn sure don't want to create a commission to study election issues for whatever the reason.
But yeah, no. None of this stuff should be in there, because it doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's just so frustrating. It's super frustrating. It doesn't make any sense.
And this is an example of Congress not working. So as things stands now, it seems that the $900 billion bill that was passed, that is what you're getting. And once again, it doesn't help because people have been struggling since the last voted package that we got. And so people have been spending their savings or running their credit through the roof. And so any relief that they get now is not going to be actual relief. What they're going to be doing is paying off the debt that they accumulated.
That's why we needed a steady monthly payment. We should have been getting $1,200 every month for the last 8 to 10 months. Like, I don't, just like every other country in the world. I don't understand what is
or
so hard.
At the very least, this bill should have had a retroactive payment. So you would have got whatever they agreed upon. Even if I don't like the fact that it's only $600 check and like a $300 a week, it should have been $300 a week since the last the last check. And then you get all of that and then the $300 a week for the next 11 weeks. That should have been in the bill. And so, just a reminder once again that our government stinks. Our the senators stink. Our House of Representatives, they stink. Even Joe Biden. Where's Joe Biden?
I don't know. Listen, I'm not enthusiastic about the next 4 years.
Where's Joe Biden?
But
where are you, Joe?
This is what I'm saying. This year, like, even though we have a new president, like, I'm not enthusiastic about anything. It literally feels like we are moving nowhere. I feel like we're just going like this. You know, we're supposed to be going like this, up from the down that we were in, but I feel like it's just going to go like this. And maybe by the end of 2021, it'll be better. But I feel like the first half of the year, I feel like nothing is going to be different.
I get so stressed when we do these stories. Oh my God.
Okay, I'm trying to be less negative. Let me speak some positivity into the universe. I hope that it is better, but it just doesn't feel right now like it will be based on the evidence of what is happening in the world right now.
No, you're right.
We will
Because here's
see.
the thing: even if the Democrats win those 2 Senate races in Georgia, it brings the House to 50-50, and Harris has the deciding vote, which means every Democrat has to vote in unison, which means nothing super liberal or left or non-corporatist is going to get brought to the Senate, which means nothing fundamentally. And so here's the thing: regardless of who wins those 2 Senate seats, nothing fundamentally is going to change in the next 4 years. Fundamentally, nothing is going to change, right? Now, there's something for the right to be worried about as far as their gun laws and their gun rights, things like that. But if you're someone who is looking for fundamental change to the way we do things on the left, you can kiss that dream goodbye. Night.
Yep.
Put the baby to sleep. Game over. So yeah, that's that. So we have 10 minutes left. Let's transition to.
Do you want to quickly talk about? Sorry, I should have said this earlier, but this is kind of old. It's kind of old news now. But do you want to talk about Andrew Yang putting his bid in for mayor?
I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. Andrew Yang has thrown his hat into the mayoral race to be the mayor of New York City.
I'm excited about that, but I was doing, my little fishing around. I like to read the comments on news articles on Facebook just because I like to see, what ignorant people think and, what just people think in general. And I saw a lot of people talking about how they don't want another progressive mayor or they don't want a progressive mayor. So I don't really know, where this is going to head. I don't think the old people of New York want a progressive mayor. I don't know why, but they don't. That doesn't seem to be what they want. But
I mean, progressive mayors have fucked up New York City, if we're being honest. Historically speaking, in New York, I don't know. Maybe you know what it could be. Maybe super liberal places need conservative leaders in order for them to not run themselves into the ground. Like just thinking about all the shit. Like for example, Los Angeles, huge homeless crisis going on, housing crisis. People are fleeing the city. And so now they don't have any money to pay for anything, and they have a liberal mayor, the mayor of Portland, right? I'm just thinking, New York City has done best, right? When it's best is a subjective word. I'm using it to speak strictly about when it has flourished financially. What was it? We had Bloomberg. I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
In our lifetime was Bloomberg, because Giuliani was never mayor. He was just right. Was he mayor?
I'm sure he was. He was, wasn't he? I don't know. I was too young at that point to know.
If he was mayor, then it was Rudy Giuliani, who did, once again, feel however you want to feel. The man cleaned up the city. It was filled with whores and crack and drugs. Times Square was an awful place to be. And so what he wanted to do was he wanted to turn New York City into a place where a bunch of tourists want to show up. And he did it. He did it by some crazy crackdowns that got people locked up for things that was, for marijuana and stuff. But as far as achieving his ultimate goal, he achieved it. And he did turn New York City into the tourist capital of the country, where we get a huge revenue boost because everyone wants to come here. Now, de Blasio, in comparison to Mike Bloomberg and Giuliani, the dude has been a sucker, if we're being honest. He's a fake liberal, number one. So he's not really progressive, but he talks that progressive shit, and he's progressive on the worst issues, like police. So he'll cut back on plainclothes cops, right? Let me reset that. Plainclothes cops.
Yes, you said it right.
I think I said plainclothes cops the first time. Plainclothes cops. He dismantles that unit, crime shoot through the roof, and now he has to walk it back. When de Blasio, plainclothes police officers are the least of your problems. If you're trying to combat police brutality. If you truly believe it's a big issue, the police that are out there cracking people's skulls are police, people dressed as police officers.
Mm-hmm.
The plainclothes cops, their job is to be there so that they can witness crimes and get the dangerous people out of the poorest areas. In fact, you need plainclothes police officers probably more than you need actual cops if you're out here making budget cuts. And so he's not a true progressive. He's a fake liberal on certain things. And he's weak. He's the worst type of white man where he believes because he married a black woman and his son got an afro that he understands us or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. And by the way, no one likes him.
No
one likes De Blasio. He has no friends.
And I feel
friends.
like he's been mayor for a really, really long time. I mean, I know he has been, but I feel like he's been mayor like my whole life.
You know why you feel that way? Because when people make you miserable, that's what it feels like.
Wait, like when did he get elected? I don't even know.
Let's look it up. I have no idea either. When did De Blasio become mayor? 2002.
Oh my God, it was my whole life.
No, sorry. No. That was when he became an elected.
I was about to say that's that.
No. He started serving as mayor in 2013. And he was reelected in 2017.
Okay.
So it's not that long.
2013. Not that long, but it feels like it's been way longer than that.
It does, because he's making everyone miserable. And so Andrew Yang, the reason why I'm excited for Andrew Yang is I don't think Andrew Yang is okay. Remember I told you, I don't know if I told you that, but did I tell you that I think there are two types of liberals? I think there is the woke left and the economic left. Mm-hmm. Andrew Yang is part of the economic left, right? Because I have serious misgivings about the woke left. I think it is, I disagree with them on many issues, and I would not want a woke leftist in power. But an economic leftist, I think, is kind of what we need. I've been saying for a long time, the way we are going to move forward in the next 30, 40, 50 years, we need new ideas. We need fresh ideas. I find the concept of universal basic income to be an extremely interesting idea. Now, I'm not an economist. I'm not nobody. I have no idea if it can work, if it's feasible. I have no idea about any of that. What I reject is the belief that keeping the status quo is the only thing we can do. Mm-hmm. Don't believe it. There was life before capitalism. And so here's my biggest pushback against like libertarians or people who are pro-capitalist. They try to make it seem as if capitalism is the only system in which human beings can thrive, which is not true, because there were humans before capitalism. Now, capitalism has freed people from bondage and it has brought various nations that were super, super poor into just being regular poor. And so that is a huge win for capitalism. But as far as us here in the country, I believe some changes need to be made to make life worth living for the average American. I believe that. I believe Andrew Yang is the guy to do it because he has interesting ideas, bold ideas, and he also, I think, does not mind being wrong.
Yep.
So he will change a policy take your idea and make it part of his agenda if he thinks it's a good idea. I like his stance on UBI. I like he's the only politician that really talks about technology and how the robots are coming for us. I think someone like that could be a really good mayor of New York City. Mm-hmm. And he's just smart.
I agree.
I look forward to working with him. If he does run, this might be the first politician that I actually like work for.
What do you mean work for? Like canvas for?
Yeah, you know how they need people to help,
Yeah, I did that when I did that this past election.
For who?
For Jamal Bowman.
Yeah, I would never do that for Jamal Bowman. But for Andrew Yang?
Okay. Oh my God.
Andrew Yang? Oh yeah, I would gladly help his candidacy. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to you, Andrew Yang. Don't back out. Don't back out. Don't back out. So I'm in the left. this is where I want to just throw some nuggets out there. Stories that don't need no deep analysis, but I do think it's very important for you guys to know about. And first story that you guys should know about is that WhatsApp is going to stop working on some phones in 2021. Now, for most of you listening to this podcast, this story does not apply to you, whatever, right? There is a short list of phones who, once the WhatsApp updates itself on January 1st, it won't work on your phone. And so those phones are the Apple iPhone 1, 2, 3, or 4. Wow, Shannon.
Who still has the first iPhone? Does it even work?
See, unlike me, I'm not an elitist like Shannon. So
okay. But
I don't look down on people who can't afford to get new iPhones. Go ahead, Shannon.
But I'm just saying the first ever iPhone that came out in 2008, 2006, that phone does not work anymore. There's no way. There's no way possible.
It must, because people have it.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. Because you're not able to get a software update because it's so old. There's no way that phone still works. It can't. Whatever.
It must. The Samsung Galaxy S2.
Oh my God.
The HTC Desire. The LG Optimus Black. The Motorola Droid Razor. My first phone, by the way.
These are all super old phones.
Shannon. Okay. And you know what, Shannon?
Okay. I'm gonna shut up.
I know you think everyone could be out here affording to pay for, $1,000 phones every year when a new phone come out.
I'm not saying that you're paying for a new phone every year, but I feel like a very small population still has the first iPhone. Let me look up when the first iPhone came out. Maybe like really old.
Now, I agree with you. I'm just saying somebody probably does have it though, because that's why they're making this big announcement. A certain segment.
It has to be old person. It has to be old people.
Okay. Old people's lives don't matter, Shannon. Old people's lives don't matter.
Of course they do. I'm not even insinuating anything close to that.
She's looking up when the first iPhone came out. It was probably like 05.
Yeah, 2007. I feel like it was before that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's how fast technology changes. And that's only like 13 years ago, by the way. But
that's okay. That's too long to have the same.
And also any Android release before 2010. Right now, phones that will need to be updated to at least iOS 9 or Android OS 4.0.3 are the following. So you have to update these phones to the latest if you want to keep your WhatsApp. Apple iPhone 4S, iPhone 5, 5S, 6, 6S, the Samsung Galaxy S3 and newer, the Samsung Galaxy Note, HTC Sensation, HTC Thunderbolt, LG Lucid, I don't know what that phone is, Motorola Droid 4, Sony Xperia Pro, and newer. So if you have any of these phones listed, you use WhatsApp, right? You need to be updating your phone or buying a new one ASAP. Or just get used to not using WhatsApp anymore. So that's one service announcement that we need to have for the people. A second service announcement that needs to be had: 430 bottles of Excedrin are recalled. Shannon is not an Excedrin taker like I am. So this story is very personal for me. I take Excedrins when I get migraines, and they work very well. And they are recalled for holes in bottles that present poisoning risk to children. Now, does this mean that if you don't have any children around, that you don't have to send your bottle back?
I'm assuming so, yes. Because if it's just a problem with the holes in the bottle, that's probably just meaning that children have access to medicine, not something that's actually wrong with the actual pills.
Let me read here. Oh, I think Shannon's right. Yeah. So this, all right. So you could keep your Excedrin if you over 18 and no children are around. But if you have children around, check the bottle and the packaging for holes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because children can get poison from these, and adults can't. All right. That's the second announcement here. Is there anything else we have to announce? Third announcement.
Okay.
Now, Shannon called this a hood story, but I disagree. I think it's very important that we talk about this for 2 minutes. A man snatches a dog from outside of a grocery store. Now, the dog's owner was a 74-year-old woman, and she tied her dog to a fruit stand outside of Garden of Eden at 2780 Broadway on the Upper West Side at approximately 4:35 p.m. and went inside the shop. NYPD
I know where that store is. Sorry, continue.
Shannon did it. The NYPD security footage shows a man knelt down to pat the dog, and then he unties the dog he unleashes the dog from the fruit stand, picks it up, and walks away. And the police are looking for him. The suspect is an adult male. He has black hair. He has a light complexion, 5'9", about 170 pounds, and he was wearing a blue and black jacket, dark jeans, black sneakers, a blue and black backpack, and a black face mask. Although I don't think that the clothing description matters anymore because he's going to wear different clothes now. Now, why did I want to bring this up? I am stunned and have always been stunned by the number of people who tie their dogs up to pose and then go and shop for like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I would never.
Yeah, I would never do that to my dog.
Ever leave my dog.
Was it a big dog? Did it say what kind of dog it was?
It's like a small little poodle.
Oh no! Why would you do that? So I don't know. My
dog is
small
is subjective. It's how you pronounce this word? Dachshund?
A dachshund? Dachshunds are those little hot dogs. Those are tiny dogs.
Yes. That's the dog I was stolen.
Why would you do that? That dog is so small. First of all, if my dog has to come me outside, it's going with me. Especially if it's that small, it's going in my bag and he's going in the store with me. Why would you leave him outside?
And if I can't go into the store with him, then I'm not going into the store. I've never understood tying a dog up outside where you can't supervise it and just assuming it'll be there when you get back. I never got that ever. Now I understand I still don't get it, but if you got like some crazy dog, like some 4-year-old pit bull or a really intimidating dog, like a German Shepherd, I get it. Still don't get it.
Yeah, you need like a large dog, because a large dog that can fend for itself if he knows that something's happening or like he knows that you're not,
and it's not friendly to strangers because it don't matter if it's a large dog that is just going to go along with any stranger that he sees.
That's what I meant. A dog that can protect itself. Like if you're trying to touch me and I don't know you were trying to take me, then I'm gonna bite you. That kind of dog. Yeah,
but just stop leaving your dogs unsupervised. Leave the dog at home or find a friend to find it or look up dog-friendly stores. They're out there. And find the dog-friendly stores. But stop leaving your dogs tied up for strangers to steal. No, I don't get it. Now, Shannon, should this woman be charged?
No, because it's not a law it's not against the law to leave your dog outside, but it was wrong of her. She shouldn't have done it, but there's no law saying you can't do that. So should there be a law against it? Maybe, yes. Just like there's a law that you can't leave your dog in the car, then yes, there should be a law that you no. Is that a law? Or is that just something you shouldn't do?
This is the second thing you made up during this podcast.
That's just something you shouldn't do. It's not a law. Sorry, I'm thinking of children. You can't leave your children in the car. Wait, is that a law? That's not a law either. I don't know.
No idea. But Stop leaving your dogs unsupervised.
Just like you shouldn't leave your dog in a hot car. Don't leave your dog outside unattended. There you go.
Absolutely. And that's the last story that you need to know about. So we thank you for joining us for the first podcast of the new year. I hope all of you had a phenomenal New Year's, even though there's nothing to do. So what are you doing? But anyway, Shannon, is there anything you'd like to say to the people?
Nope, I'm good. Happy New Year, guys. Hope you guys are, hope you find some peace knowing that it's not 2020 anymore, but we'll see.
Yes, even though 2021 is shaping up to be just like 2020, but whatever. So we will see you next time. Be safe, be blessed. Deuces.
Bye.